Will Prince William punish Prince Andrew further?
And Meghan Markle leaves her house again. Hashtag blessed. Hello and welcome to Heirs and Spares, your go-to for insight and opinion on two of the most talked about royal couples from both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from here in sunny California.
Well, I'm in sunny Andalusia for the week, enjoying a bit of R&R, but I have to say it's absolutely lovely. But, as usual, I've kept my finger on the pulse of what's going on with the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Cool. What's your name?
Ruperto Bellos. No, I don't know what I've given myself. I don't know whether that's a Spanish name. But anyway, Rupert Bell is my name. We get there in the end.
We do. We always do. All right. So some beautiful visuals coming out of Windsor Castle last week. Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, hosting the Prince and Princess of Jordan. The two princes actually visited RAF Benson as they both served as helicopter pilots in the past. There, they met with trainee aircrew and staff because they had a lot in common with them. Great visuals, like I said before, but the story didn't have time to breathe thanks to the Prince Andrew and Epstein scandal that unfortunately hijacked all of the headlines.
Yes, well, obviously, they've got close ties with the Jordanian royal family. Also, the two princes are indeed, well, they were studied for military together, so they've got a lot of history. Kate actually spent some time in Jordan back in the day when her father was over there. So there are close ties between the two. And RAF Benson, a little nugget about RAF Benson, it's got nothing to do with the royal family. During the winter, it's one of the coldest places in Britain. When we ever see the coldest place at night, RAF Benson, which is a flat area, gets some of the coldest frosts in the country anywhere. But anyway, that aside, RAF Benson, for William to go there, obviously that takes him back to his days when he had a helicopter pilot, and the same for Prince Jordan. Actually, I think it's two friends getting together, basically, and families obviously get on well. They went to the wedding, and so there is a close bond between the two. And I think it was the Princess of Jordan's first sort of official trip, as it were, to come with her husband to meet up with the Prince and Princess of Wales. So positive headlines, but as you say, I'm not even sure you could half blink because you missed it, because obviously from the perspective of what's been going on in Britain, everything has been dominated with the news around Prince Andrew giving up his dukedom, using the title, not officially. Parliament still needs to go to an act of Parliament to get rid of that. There are calls for that. And then obviously stepping down from the Knight of the Order of the Garter. So it's been a bad week for him, but it means that Prince William's sort of thoughts on it are very much in the spotlight.
It also kind of diminished the trip as well. And this is tough. And I don't mean this in a cruel way, but one of Andrew's daughters took the Princess of Jordan around. And so now you don't want to talk about that. Now you don't want to talk about that engagement, because then it brings up the daughters are in such a tough position. And I can't call them the York girls anymore, because I believe they voluntarily gave up the York titles as well. So I don't even know what to do going forward. But one of the daughters of Prince Andrew, and I apologize that I'm forgetting which one specifically, was involved in the engagement. But now that's not something that anyone will want to discuss.
Well, and they pulled out of a big sort of Met Gala style occasion on over the weekend. And for the daughters, they're in a very difficult position. Bearing in mind they're married, so whether they keep their title, I mean, in essence, one is married to Jack Broxbank, and one is married to someone else as well, so they could have their married names. So, but they still are HRH because they're entitled to that. But in terms of a formal title, that's gone anyway, in a sense, because they're now married women. So they presumably, just like Zara Tindall now, Mrs. Zara Tindall. So that's the way it would be in those cases. But I do feel for them, and we saw pictures of one of the children leaving Royal Lodge today. they're in a really, it must be a heartbreaking position to be, that their parents have got themselves into this media spotlight by their actions and their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. It's as simple as that. Whatever the allegations you say about them, their actions of being friends with Jeffrey Epstein have come back to bite them in the most horrendous, well, depending on your viewpoint, but for them personally, it has meant that the fall from grace is a huge one, and the children, it must be quite a strain on them. For me, the writing on the wall was that picture with the Duchess when he was at the Duchess of Kent's funeral, and standing next to Prince Andrew, as he now is. And he was strutting like a peacock and sort of trying to make a joke. For William, if looks could kill, that told you all you need to know what he thinks of his uncle. And I think his views of his uncle will have only deteriorated with the further revelation. So I'm sure he played a strong hand in trying to persuade his father to say, enough's enough. This ain't good for the reputation of the royal family.
Yeah, we covered that, you and I. We talked about how that brief moment went viral, just the resentment that it appeared on Prince William's face. Like, hush, this is not the appropriate behavior. We're at a funeral. We're at, and also for a woman who was so sweet and delicate, and you're just like, oh, come on, Andrew, just behave this one time. Can you just nip it in the bud? Well, let's talk about Prince William's relationship with Prince Andrew, because I'm sure you're seeing reports like in the Sunday Times that Prince William will ban his disgraced uncle from royal life and his coronation as king. He's been banned from royal life. I don't know what else we can ban him from. I can't imagine Prince William wanting Prince Andrew there when he becomes king. I think that's a pretty simple ask.
Yeah, and the trouble is, every time he turns up, and it's a bit like when Harry turns up, they become the focus of attention. So, and actually, does he want the Prince Andrew to upstage and be seen? And the same might apply to his brother, but that could be in a different space. You never know in a few years' time. It doesn't. I'm not suggesting that it will happen overnight, but you never know. But in terms of Andrew, they don't want to see him at any occasion. These quasi-private public functions that they have, Christmas, the walk to church at Sandringham, the other occasions that they may have over Easter and other things that he could turn up at, and other semi-formal occasions where the family could be expected to attend. Well, that's just not happening for him anymore. Anything like the Queen Trooping of the Colour or anything like that. No way should he be, William countenance being seen, because he will become the story, unless by some miracle he can clear himself of all these allegations. Which, bearing in mind, if you go to his statement, he said he still strongly denies all these allegations against him. So, he thinks he's got a long way to get out of this particular pickle. But for William, I think he talks about how he wants his royal family to be seen as fit for purpose. That's his big thing, isn't it? His mantra. We've got to be ready to deal with the modern Britain and the way the royal family should work. It's going to put a lot of pressure on his shoulders, because, as we keep saying, he's thin on the ground for supporting staff of his generation. And that's the hard thing for him. He might have thought that Eugenie and Beatrice could be sort of
resources.
Maybe left, resources, but they can't be now. They really can't be, as far as I'm concerned. So that's where we're at now, a really difficult situation for William, because Andrew has left him in a real sort of PR mess. And he doesn't want him anywhere near anything that he's going to be doing. As you saw at the Duchess of Kent's funeral, I think he was unable to sort of shield his contempt for his uncle when he stood next to him.
Can you respond to these reports? One source told the Daily Beast Prince William will strip Prince Andrew, along with all other non-working royals, of their HRHs and princely titles when he ascends to the throne. The source told the Daily Beast Meghan and Harry will also see their dukedoms and HRHs formally revoked by the new king. Meghan continues to use her HRH despite being ordered not to do so by the late Queen Elizabeth II. A source said William's own children may have their titles informally parked until they become adults and can decide for themselves if they want to be full-time working royals or lead lives as private citizens. I don't hate this idea. I think it's so much easier to control your image if you have a smaller group of people that are formally representing you. And while Harry and Meghan might think that the rules don't apply to them and they can behave any way they want to because they quit royal life, they still insist on using these titles that ultimately represent the British royal family.
Well, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they're just like outlaws in California. They're Wild West time and a view to it. They carry on. They don't take any blind bit of notice of what the formal practice should be, because she knows she has to depend on this as a means to commercializing her whole business proposal. It's about her link to the royal family that gives her notoriety. For William, I think he's got to be a bit careful about that, because there are centuries of tradition, but I can see where he's going with it, sort of trying to pare it down, more of a European model in terms of the support, the way it works, that it concentrates on a few. But the role of the monarchy in this country is a far more important one than it is in some of the other European countries where it is pared down. And of sort of monarchies, well, here in Spain, I mean, the monarchy here has been on one heck of a roller coaster. I think it's in reasonably safe hands at the moment, but the previous king, King Juan Carlos, his reputation certainly created problems. But for William, I see him trying to pare it down and say, and I think I can understand for his children, because, George knows what he's going to be doing. But what does Charlotte want to do? What does Louis want to do to avoid that sort of spare? Can they then be told, right, go off and be your own man or your own woman, whatever that takes?
Go be a conquerors champion.
Well, yes. Don't bring up the horrible memories of me and my abacus. But
did you see that Did you see that Prince Louis was invited to be a patron of a Conquerors Club, but his parents said they didn't want him to be a working royal yet, so they were going to have to politely decline.
Well, I think that was. Well, the World Conquers Championships did take place recently. Very sweetly, very, very funny talking about that. The other day I was walking around a market in Spain, and there was a man deciding which particular conquers he wanted. So maybe they have something like that over here. But anyway, we digress. But for the royals, I get the impact of what William wants to do, and I understand that, because outside that direct line, who's he got of his generation? I'm pretty sure the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh's children don't really want to go that route. I don't see Lady Louise being someone who may want to pick up the cudgels and help William.
Oh, you don't? At this stage. You don't see that? I've heard she's very close to Prince William, and she might.
I can see that she could be, but at the moment she's very much ploughing her own, going to university, doing her thing. I don't think I see that in the short term.
Yeah, because she very much reminds me of Prince Philip. I think she is duty led, but I also think she's taking advantage of the fact that her parents are saying, figure it out for yourself. Go where your heart leads you.
Well, very much like her mother's view on it. If she took the choice to marry the Duke of Edinburgh as he now is, and she came from a very normal working PR background, meets Edward, marries, and has taken up the cudgels very forcibly. And I think will be a support for William. And I can see because obviously, remember, they're a bit younger, they're in their early 60s. So therefore, they would be around. If you just look at the sort of generation, there's a big gap age-wise between.
I mean, when did Prince Philip take his first break? 90 years old? 90 years old? Isn't that when he was like, you know what? I think I'm done here.
Well, he had every right to be
Yeah.
done. I mean, and he showed unwavering. It wasn't always sweetness and light, because he, as a sort of full-on man, sort of probably had to cope with suddenly in the 50s being three steps behind. And if you think of the era then, it was a very different view of the world. The world has moved on exponentially, and the role can be a very different one. So, but for William's generation, it will be a different vibe. But for the Edinburgh's child, I could. What about the boy? Probably not at the moment. I think they will want to do their own thing, and see where that takes them. But I don't see them desperate. And obviously, Eugenie and Beatrice, that's a not a good look at the moment for them. But I think they've got
What
small
about
children.
Peter? He's getting married, he's settling down. Zara gets along so well with her cousin. Mike loves him. One pint Willie. I mean, I know that they would not be official, but perhaps they would step up and do some engagements to represent the royal family just to give Prince William a breather. Is that a possibility?
I suppose it's not beyond because they both have, Mike is an extremely popular character, World Cup winning rugby player, and they're plowing their own furrow business wise and getting on and very much leading their own lives. They know how to have don't seem to mess. Their PR is always in very good shape. They like a good time, but at the same time, they're fully aware of their responsibilities. But Zara's got her own life. She's still very much involved in the equestrian world. I know she's a director at Cheltenham Racecourse and various other things that she does. Mike Tyndall, and they've both got lots of business interests. But you could probably see them. And Peter Phillips, I don't see that rushing to do that. I know he's got, his love life's been quite creative over the years, but I think he's finally there.
You don't have to be jealous.
Yeah, well, I'm not jealous, Kinsey. I'm just saying and his business practices have occasionally not always been, not saying wrong, but things haven't always worked out as well as he would have thought. I don't see him, but they have great affection for the royal family and they're incredibly loyal. So I don't see them not being anything other than supporters. But what does it mean? Adopting more public-facing roles, I'm not sure at the moment. So that's why I say it's a complicated one for William. Who does he turn to?
Okay, well, I smiled. I got a little smile on my face when you threw it back to Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, when you mentioned her PR background. What wouldn't you love to be? A fly on the wall as Sophie read some of these magazines and read some of these headlines about Meghan Markle. Who doesn't want energy, metabolic, immune, and skin support? I want to introduce you to Peak, a luxury brand transforming wellness with the absolute best, rare, and precious plants, cutting edge ingredients, and formulations rooted in traditional wisdom. Their science backed botanicals, minerals, and supplements support sustained energy, metabolic function, immune health, and radiant skin, making it easy to live each day with vitality. One of their newest essentials, the Deep Hydration Protocol, is a two-part drinkable skincare system that keeps your body and skin hydrated while promoting better sleep. Made without sugar, fillers, or artificial flavors, and crafted with natural ingredients for a clean, spa-like taste you can feel good about. Daily use supports hydration, glowing skin, improved sleep, and sustained energy. In the morning, here's what I do. I use the BT fountain. This is their beauty electrolyte. And then in the evening, I'm using RE fountain. I love this one. It has the calming electrolyte that contains that gentle form of magnesium that eases tension and helps me get deep, restful sleep without feeling yucky the next day. I want you to wake up rested and stay hydrated all day. Get 20% off for life, a complimentary gift, and explore Peak's clean, pure ingredient products at peaklife.com/Kinsey. That's PIQUE life.com/Kinsey. This is hydration redefined. Try it and glow from the inside out. Now back to the show. Let's go into one of the recent articles about Meghan and her latest PR blitz. I would love to know what direction Sophie would have sent her, or what advice. I mean, and don't forget, I believe it was either Katie Nichol, I can't remember who exactly reported it. Maybe Valentine Lowe. Somebody reports that the Queen suggested that Sophie work directly with Meghan as a mentor, and Meghan says, "I don't need her. I have Harry to guide me." Sophie would have been the ultimate mentor. I can't stress that enough, because here is what some insiders in the industry are saying about Meghan Markle. A source said her PR team are just putting her out there in a hopeful way without a plan. They aren't being discerning and protecting her from herself. It seems they think every media opportunity is a good one, and that's insane. Commenting on the wave of different appearances made by the couple, they added, "There is no strategy here. It is thoughtless and directionless." The source said, one day she is in Paris at a fashion show, positioning herself in that world. And then she shows up in Washington with Fortune magazine and wants to be regarded as a female founder. But she's got nothing to launch, nothing to announce, and nothing to say. It's a mess. They added, "The Sussexes seem to be spiraling. They are throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks." Listen to this quote. "I don't understand why she would do a magazine cover." We're hearing it's Harper's Bazaar, not Vogue. "When she has nothing coming out. It is evident that either she isn't being advised properly or else she isn't listening. Honestly, whoever is in charge shouldn't be putting this stuff in front of Meghan to protect her from herself." I mean, I do think she's launching makeup. And been saying that for the last 2 weeks now. But still, you haven't proven yourself in any space. Why do you belong on a magazine cover?
Well, I don't think she does at the moment. I think, this scattergun approach is, as that article alludes, hopefully find something that might be able to latch onto. But there's no depth to any of these things that she's doing. The Duchess of Edinburgh would have been an extremely good mentor, because it wasn't always plain sailing for her once she joined. There were times when she got herself in a bit of a mess and had to extricate herself from some royal PR that wasn't quite in her favor, but she found a way through it by keeping, the most important thing, she kept her head down. She shut up for a bit, just quietly worked her way back, and with the support of her husband, they found that actually their best way forward was being a great support to not only to the late Queen and Prince Philip, and hence the reason why they are the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. But I would suggest that it would have been a great move, but Meghan hasn't got the wherewithal. She came into the royal family thinking that she was going to be the great I am, and I don't need to be told, convinced of her rightness. She's been convinced of her rightness ever since. And that article, as far as I'm concerned, is not far from the truth. It's just, as you say, 1 minute just always going. Next minute, she's at some glitzy vegan dinner party that looked the most horrendous night that anyone could have. So blingy and over the top.
And like
And
when they were
then,
like sponsored by Meghan Markle's wine, Meghan provided the wine. She's got plenty of product to provide, since it's not selling out.
well,
There's plenty of wine. Nobody's buying it. Enjoy.
well, exactly. And this is the problem for her. Nothing seems to be working and hitting the ground with any sense of purpose. And it is ridiculous way they're approaching it. And it actually makes Harry look stupid as well, because he's got nothing. People were saying to me, "What's Harry do?" Well, I don't know. And obviously he's having his own PR issues. So I think the PR people are saying, again, I'm sure anyone who's taken on contractually to work for the Sussexes, he finds it extremely difficult to get and say, "This is what we should do. Just let us do this." Because I'm sure Meghan probably wakes up the next morning and says, "No, I want to go and do this." And it will be absolutely impossible. I mean, I know stories of when she was over here of people saying exactly that. They say, "Right, you need to do this." Yes, she'd say. And the next day she would do the polar opposite. So in that case, and I don't think her modus operandi has changed at all. And I have to say, listening to the gobbledygook that came out of that trip to New York and that business meeting,
Oh,
I mean, what
Fortune.
was she?
That was in
What
Washington, D.C.
what was she talking about? I mean, the great I am. Well, I mean, as ever has flopped. She wants to now move into something else. She's now. I mean, it seems to be what she was talking about is everything good business practices are not about. There's no. I was always taught you've got to have a mission, aim. But going back to my military days, you always told, right, what is the primary objective of what you're trying to achieve, and how do we get there? And we stick to a plan. It appears that this plan changes with every 5 minutes as to where she wants to go. And that, for me, is the big problem for the Sussexes.
Well, it's
And
hard to take them seriously when they don't stand for anything. They don't stand for anything
oh,
specific. They don't, 1 minute she tells us that the jam business started because it was Netflix's idea, pushing all blame on them in case things don't work out. And then in Washington, D.C., she claims that this organically came to her while she was in her Birkenstocks during COVID. There's no stability, there's no consistency except inconsistency, and we don't know what they stand for. Watching Victoria Beckham explain how she accepted that she wasn't the best singer and dancer, she accepted maybe that wasn't the life meant for her, and why she pivoted to fashion and beauty, and how that really was meaningful to her, how she hid behind these clothes and she wanted to give people confidence through their clothing. And, I believed her. I believe in her business because I believed what she was saying. I understood that clear path she took. But with Meghan, it's just like, I'm a gift wrapper. I'm a professional. I do really great gift wrapping. I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. Like, chill out and find something organic and real. Because the jam thing wasn't real either. I think she was trying to change public perception of her. Isn't she sweet? She can't be a bully. She makes jam. Like, no,
uh,
like you're just trying to make a buck and it's cheap looking. It's giving Sarah Ferguson, and you're just cheapening the royal family by insisting on you using these titles that you didn't earn.
and by the way, Birkenstock, what's that? As you
They're
know, me and
fuzzy, ugly
fashion.
shoes. They're fuzzy. I wear them. I wear the hell out of them, but they're ugly.
Okay, fine. Sorry, once again showing my complete lack of knowledge of what Birkenstocks are. But anyway, thank you for putting me correct on that. I think the whole thing is just a sham as far as she's concerned. Whereas if you go back to Victoria Beckham, there were peaks and troughs. It didn't, but she stuck to her guns. She found, and financially, the business probably has had its
Which she
complications.
talks about, yes.
And is not ashamed to admit, but right, and any fashion business is extremely hard to make money. I particularly the kind of thing that she does. So it's okay. They're not short of a bob or two, but the fact of the matter is she's stuck to it and is looked like she has done her very best to tap into something and show what a hard work that is. What it's about. Head down, get on with it. Get the best people around you, and then away. For Meghan, she doesn't know how to get the best people around her, and if she does, those best people haven't got the patience to stay around. That's part of the problem. And at the moment, I don't know what if she comes into makeup. I mean, who's doing the research and the quality? Isn't it a saturated market?
Well,
For
I'm sure
makeup.
she looks at people like Hailey Bieber, married to Justin Bieber. Really, that's what elevated Hailey Bieber, her marriage to Justin Bieber. Her Rhode Beauty line just sold for $1 million. Selena Gomez's Rare Beauty, which Selena was at that Washington, D.C. Fortune Summit, has made Selena Gomez a billionaire. I think she sees the value in celebrity makeup. Gwen Stefani has a celebrity makeup line. Um, I could go on and on with female
Yeah.
celebrities that have a celebrity makeup line. But the difference between them and Meghan is that these people were superstars beyond this, beyond marrying Prince Harry. Hailey Bieber was a supermodel before she married Justin Bieber. Selena Gomez, a pop star, an actress, you know, and a little Disney princess, adorable. Gwen Stefani, no doubt, The Voice. They have a resume full of things that make them influential. Meghan Markle's stops at Prince Harry. Nobody's watching Suits anymore. She doesn't have any other wins beyond her marriage to Prince Harry. Nobody's, you know, as ever, no matter what she says, there's no proof that it is a successful business, especially when people are getting emails saying, sorry, we don't have the product you purchased. Would you like a refund? So I don't know if this is a guaranteed slam dunk for her. And I don't think of her as like some makeup maven. I think your bronzer is too extreme, and I can see the lines on your face where your bronzer ends. I never think, oh my gosh, her makeup looks impeccable. I think fire that makeup person. So I'm surprised that this is the route she's taking.
Wasn't that makeup person on her?
It's Daniel. It's
Yeah.
Daniel
Anyway,
who uploaded a video shortly after the Paris trip with all the makeup he used on, with all of the skincare and makeup he used on her, and put some weird caption about trying to get her in a lip, deleted the video. And when people reached out to him, he said, oh, you know what? I'm going to re-upload it later. I actually deleted it because I forgot to use all the products I used on her, which again leads me to believe that Meghan is launching a makeup line, and she told him to delete it because he gave away too much or wasn't giving her brand credit when she wants that credit. And there's this vile video of them backstage in New York getting ready to accept this award. And Meghan says, happy World Mental Health Day. You always keep me laughing. And she's cackling backstage with Harry, who's kind of like, as he's trying to read over his script under a dim light, like, what the hell is she laughing about? But she's got a little lipstick tube in her hand. And then she gives us a lot of, you know, a montage of her putting lipstick on. I'm convinced she is releasing makeup, but
well,
I would die in a fire before I put any of it on my body. I
I'm
just did that documentary where they were like, we bought Meghan goodies. Do you want to try it? No, I would rather die in a fire. I value my life.
well, and I'm going back to those other ladies who sold their businesses for good. Is their makeup product any good?
Oh yeah. I mean, I bet you've seen it with I have some of the lip gloss, but I don't have the case, but it's gone viral. Hailey Bieber has designed a case that specifically fits her lip gloss. So you can run around town with your phone case protected and your lip gloss in your phone case. You just pop it out, put your lip gloss on. Brilliant. So clever.
Oh, wait, see, okay, and again, I'm not the target market, as we know. We're
I
on
think you
fashion
are.
again. Well, you know, as you know, no makeup here. What you see is what you get here. Um, I'm delighted those individuals have made money, but again, has Meghan put the R&D in to actually producing something that can break through or a already hugely crowded market? And you think these people that you've mentioned, they're tapping into the young girl sort of 20 something, 30 something market, and that's why they're there. What's Meghan's target market? Would she get into that 20 something market? Probably not. Because outside a small, you know, has she got the wherewithal to cash in? What music videos? What's the background? You know, it's easy for Justin Bieber's wife to tap in because Justin's at least, you know, an international music star, whatever, and the others do have a reputation and something that can break through, and people go, yes. But Meghan, I'm not sure she would break through that target market. You know, maybe I'm going to be proved wrong if that's where she's going, but she hasn't broken through with the as ever, which was presumably going into the aspirational, you know, people wanting stuff for their house. That didn't work. So why should the makeup line work? Well, maybe, as you say, back to this scattergun approach, maybe this might be one that will hit, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah. True or false? Incognito mode makes you invisible on the internet. The answer is actually false. Most people have no idea, but your browsing history can still be monitored and even recorded unless you use today's sponsor, ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN reroutes your internet traffic through a secure encrypted tunnel, protecting your data from hackers, advertisers, and even your own internet service provider. Depending on where you live, ISPs can actually be required to log your activity or, even worse, legally sell your browsing history. ExpressVPN makes sure that just doesn't happen. It also lets you change your online location so you can access geo-locked content on streaming platforms like Netflix, Disney Plus, and BBC iPlayer. With servers in over 100 countries, you can unlock thousands of new shows and movies from around the globe. Setup is simple, just one click to connect, and it works across all your devices, phones, laptops, tablets, even smart TVs. Speeds are blazing fast, so you can stream in HD with zero buffering. I've used ExpressVPN while traveling, and it gave me real peace. Protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/Kinsey to get up to 4 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Kinsey. I think that there's an issue where Meghan and her team assume that the target market is royal watchers. They look at that demo, they look at that age, because if you think about the people that believe in the British royal family, they're of an older demographic, typically, conservative households. Yeah, maybe those women do want celebrity jam, celebrity or celebrity honey. However, Meghan has ripped into the British royal family for the last 5 years. So they're no longer interested in anything Meghan is selling because they don't believe in her behavior over the last 5 years.
Well, I think we should ask our viewers, are you going to be buying Meghan's Markle's makeup product? I get the feeling probably not many will be. But if you are, would you want to try it? I throw it out there to the dear viewer. If have I lost my audience straight away? But you know what I mean? I don't think we are... our audience necessarily will be the ones who would naturally go out and buy Meghan Markle's makeup product for probably reasons that you come out with. But at the same time, she's got to break beyond that. And to make it viable, she's got to get beyond... I'll give you an example. I know a man, and I'm not going to mention his name. He used to be a big TV chef back in the day, right? In Britain. And he launched pasta sauces. Now, no one knows who he is, yet you find them on the shelves and they are selling. And he's broken through, not because he's got a reputation. You know, we're talking 30 years ago, he was a household name from a TV perspective. Now, no one would know him, but you can go into a supermarket and you find his product. And that is an example of cutting through the celebrity name, because you only have a short span. You then have to say, right, once you've lost your celebrity, can you still make your brand viable? And that is the product that you need to have. Think long term, and that's exactly what he did to a great success, and fair play to him. And then the same would apply. You know, if Meghan's going to launch it, she's got to say, right, I can cash in on my celebrity, but is it good enough that in the end, no one cares who Meghan Markle is, but the product is good? And that's got to be the answer. You said Selena Gomez, could she be, you know, she sold her business, so it doesn't matter now. She's pocketed the money, so it doesn't matter if it's around. But presumably, the people who paid that money see value in that name that will have a long-term benefit, so they get the return on their investment. And that's the point. And for Meghan, she's got to think, right, 5 years down the line, then they sell it and someone else then manages it and takes it on, because it won't matter that Meghan Markle, it's just that's what the brand is called and people like it for what it is.
Yeah,
And
there are
that will be
people that don't realize that Paul Newman is like one of the best actors in the world. They think he just makes salad dressings.
Yeah.
You know, like his
Well,
salad dressing is that
yeah.
good that you're like, oh, or his lemonade is that good that you think Paul Newman is like the lemonade guy. You don't realize that he's like one of the most handsome men that ever walked this planet and was a great movie star.
You're absolutely... George Foreman, great boxer, but he was more known for his grill. Wasn't he? Yeah. And that because he had a good product that people bought. And that's the sort of holy grail, as it were. And Paul Newman, didn't he just make it at home and then say, "Oh, that's good"? And next minute, and I don't see it in this country, but can you still see Paul Newman's own salad dressing all over the States? Well, that backs up the point about my mate and his pasta sauces.
Do you think that do you think that Kim Kardashian will escape? Do you think we'll assume or we'll always just associate Kim Kardashian with thongs that have fur on the front of them going forth because she's created this new, incredible, compelling product that transforms her brand?
You've lost me here. I'm sorry, I'm not aware of Kim Kardashian and her furry product. I think we leave it there because that's full of carry-on double entendres. But anyway, sorry, I'm going to have to research by next week to discover what the heck you're talking about.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't Google that one.
Okay, but anyway, I'll check out Kim Kardashian's furry product. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Move on, Kinsey.
All right. Well, agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Would you be buying Meghan Markle's products, her makeup products? That's what Rupert asked you earlier. We're curious to see that feedback in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. And Rupert, I will see you again next week.
I'm off now to go and have a tapas, if that's all right, Kinsey. And I'll speak to you next week. I don't know what day next week, but I'll speak to you.
All right. Well, make sure you Google Kim Kardashian.